my name's Amy. I'm an indie author with 8 published books, and this is the start of my sort of NaNoWriMo vlog. So I've said in my last couple of videos that I'm not doing NaNoWriMo, and technically that's true. I am not writing 50,000 words this November. But in the true spirit of NaNoWriMo, I did want to set myself some writing challenges. And the more I look at them, the more I wonder if actually I've taken on way more than just doing a normal NaNoWriMo. So, as I've been saying in my other videos, I'm currently editing a cyberpunk novel called Cybernation. I'm now on chapter 12, I think, of 29. Progress has been really slow recently, and to be honest, that's why I wanted to set myself this challenge. It has been really nice to just slowly and steadily work on this book, doing probably at most 1 or 2 chapters a week, usually 1 if I'm honest. But because winter is here and I'm not working as much at the moment, I'm definitely feeling the need to pick up the pace a bit. So this is where the first half of my NaNoWriMo challenge comes in. Yes, there's 2 halves, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I have set myself up a tracker, and for now I have set the goal date for finishing this edit as being the end of November. Now, to be honest, I already know that is incredibly unlikely. If I do have to change that goal as I go along, I am happy to do that. But I really wanted something to work towards because so far I haven't set myself a deadline for this book. Throughout November, I will be aiming to edit more like 3 or 4 chapters a week, preferably 4, although to be honest, like I said, this is ambitious. So onto the other half of my challenge. In my last vlog, I talked about doing the outline for an epic fantasy book that I first started working on for NaNoWriMo 2017. I've done lots of work on that outline over the last week, and I have decided that I'm also going to try to reach 30,000 words in this draft during November. I'm at about 7,000 at the moment. This is of course on top of doing my regular serial fiction for Chronicles of Tyria, and of course all that editing that I just talked about. So those are my really big goals for November. I'm feeling a little bit intimidated by them, but November and NaNoWriMo are all about challenging yourself, and to be honest, I felt this was a bigger challenge than just doing NaNoWriMo for me these days. I will be doing weekly vlogs to keep you updated on my progress and also to keep myself accountable. That is how my November is shaping up. Let's see how I get on. It is Sunday afternoon. It's been a really busy weekend, but not quite the weekend I hoped for. So yesterday was obviously Saturday, and I spent most of the day at a music festival. It's an indoor one, of course, at this time of year, but it's one myself and my partner go to every couple of years. It's pretty much our favourite event in the metal calendar in the UK. And there were some bands playing that we really wanted to see, so we'd been looking forward to that for absolutely ages. So we had everything organised, we had a babysitter arranged, we set off, and halfway through the afternoon, I got a migraine. So we'd seen a couple of bands at that point, and we stuck it out for another couple of hours after I started to feel under the weather, but in the end we just had to call it a day and come home. I was really disappointed about that, even in the midst of feeling terrible. We hadn't even seen our 2 favourite bands yet. They were playing later in the evening, and there were others we'd wanted to see as well. So yeah, really disappointed to have missed out on that. And it's a really long wait until next year's event. So I am still recovering from that. I slept for about 12 hours last night. Still feeling a little bit under the weather this morning, but I'm doing a lot better. As for writing, yesterday morning I actually wrote about 700 words before we set off. And today I started off by finishing my Chronicles of Tyria chapter for the week. That took about 250 words. Then I had a read through it and submitted it to my editor. So that's a big job now off my plate. And the rest of Sunday, I don't honestly know. I am very, very behind so far on the goals I've set for myself for November. Obviously, I'm not doing the 50,000 word target, but I do have targets and I'm really not up to speed with those. I think I'm going to hold off on doing any more Cybernation editing until next week. I need a bit more energy and focus for that. Today, I will try and do a bit more writing if I can, if I feel up to it. I'll be working on the epic fantasy project. Incidentally, I've given it the codename Winterlands because that's the setting. And that's what you'll see on the trackers page that's linked below. I think I passed the 8,000 word mark yesterday. I don't think I'll be hitting any more milestones today, but if I could do a few hundred more words, that would be good. But overall, this weekend has just not gone as I wanted it to, and there isn't really any way to salvage that at this point. I will keep writing though and try to give myself a bit of a head start before the new week arrives. It's Monday evening, it's about 7 p.m. and there is really no way to make this lighting flattering. I've also realised that I'm wearing the same jumper in every clip I've filmed so far because whenever I'm cold I just pull it on over whatever else I'm wearing. But anyway, let's talk about writing. So as I said, the weekend was not great, but I've tried to get back on track today. One thing I haven't touched since the start of NaNoWriMo was my editing for Cybernation, which really is my main project at the moment, no matter what else I'm working on at the same time. So today it was time to get back to that. At the moment, I am trying to do roughly 3 hours of editing a week. Now I will aim to do more than that, but I'd like that to be my minimum. It's more than I was doing before November, and to be honest, I'm not going to finish the edit in November. I think that's really unlikely, but 3 hours a week will allow me to make fairly decent progress, and certainly faster progress than I was making before. So I had a pretty good editing session this afternoon and got 50 minutes done. I did not wrap up a chapter, so I can't update my tracker, but I'm fairly close to finishing the chapter. Close enough, in fact, that I might look at that tonight, or I might move on to Winterlands and do some more drafting, because I haven't yet touched that today. Well, technically, I did open the Scrivener document this afternoon, stared at it for about 10 minutes and then closed it again. I really do feel like I'm still battling with this migraine. I woke up this morning feeling fairly under the weather and it's making me far less productive than usual. But I'm not feeling too bad this evening and I have got time to do a bit of work. I don't know if I'll reach my 700 word target for Winterlands, but if I could just do a few hundred words, that wouldn't be too bad. And just like that, this story is over 10,000 words. But as you can see by my target, I've still got a long way to go. I'm just about to pass 1,000 words for the day, and with perfect timing, my reward has arrived. It's Wednesday evening. I didn't film yesterday, but we're getting towards the end of this vlog, so I wanted to do a bit of an update. It's technically only day 6 of NaNoWriMo, but both the reason I'm finishing this vlog a little bit early and the reason for me not filming yesterday are the same. And that's because yesterday I found myself having some doubts about one of my 2 projects for this month. I will say Cybernation is going really well. I think I'm up to about 2 hours of work on it over the last 3 days. I nearly wrapped up another chapter today and I'm very close to halfway done with this book. In hindsight, I do kind of know that I should have given it this extra time months ago, quite honestly, because now that I'm spending more time on it and really digging into it, the work is going relatively quickly and I'm very happy with the editing so far. But you know, I just had to ease my way into it, and I had a lot of other stuff going on in my life, and I just felt that I couldn't completely commit to it. I needed to work on more than one thing at once, which is where my second project comes in. Now, I've been talking about a book called Winterlands, which I'm drafting. Yesterday, though, I had a bit of a crisis regarding my self-publishing schedule. Now, I always knew Winterlands was not going to come out anytime soon. A couple of days ago, I wrapped up the second chapter. Now, these chapters are really long. The first one is about 4,800 words. The second one is closer to 6,000. That was always intentional, but there are going to be something like 24 or 25 chapters in this book. I always knew it was going to be quite long. It is epic fantasy after all. But like I said, I'm only 2 chapters in, and I started thinking about the vast amount of work ahead of me to get this book finished. The entire drafting process, which is going to be months and months of work, and then all the editing, and then getting it ready for publication. Even if I really push to get it done, I'm probably still looking at a publishing date of about a year from now. And this is where the crisis comes in. I started thinking about all the things that I've got half finished that are so much closer to being done. I always wanted to publish more than one book this year. I did one in the spring, which was Lady of Swords, but nothing else has quite worked out the way I wanted it to. Cybernation is not out there yet, and nor are any of the other many projects I have halfway done. So I'm sort of thinking about putting Winterlands on hold. I'm not completely putting it aside. If I want to do any drafting over the next few weeks, I will probably return to it. It would be nice to get at least 1 or 2 more chapters, say 10,000 words, done by the end of November. But right now, because I am so behind on where I wanted my publishing schedule to be, it does not make sense to draft a huge epic fantasy book that I've barely started. What does make sense is to go back to the space opera that I was talking about in the summer. It's the one I drafted for July's Camp NaNoWriMo, and it's called The Oracle's Bones. Now, I didn't completely finish the first draft, but there's only 1 or 2 chapters to go. I will probably write those chapters once I've read through and edited quite a lot of the rest of the book, and that is what I am thinking of starting next. This was always supposed to be my next published book after Cybernation, so I was going to return to it once Cybernation was published. But I'm kind of thinking there's no point in waiting at the moment. However I look at it, and however much I was enjoying it, Winterlands is just not a sensible option for me right now. It's just going to take too much time. What makes far more sense is to start editing The Oracle's Bones and getting ready to write the second in this space opera series. And that is why I'm going to wrap up the vlog today, because I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be working on next week. I feel like I'm pivoting a bit at the moment. Let's call it pivoting rather than just changing my mind. This is, after all, probably a sounder business decision than what I was doing before. So next week I will be continuing to edit Cybernation, and that is still very much my priority, especially because it's going quite well at the moment. And if I want a break, I will probably be editing The Oracle's Bones. It feels very strange to be putting aside every single drafting project for NaNoWriMo and November, but I really have to do what's most sensible right now. Winter for me is always a time to really push ahead with my self-publishing plans because work is so quiet. But I have to make the most of it and not faff around writing things that aren't going to be finished for years. So that's where I'm wrapping up the vlog. We will see how these different projects take shape next week. I'm honestly not sure what I'm going to be working on in, say, a week's time. I'm kind of hoping I can just stick to things, but this is not the way my writing brain works. As long as I'm steadily working on Cybernation, and I have been doing, then I just have to take everything else as it comes. So I hope your NaNoWriMo is going well. I would love to hear about it, especially if you, like me, are being a NaNoWriMo rebel this year. Let me know what you're working on. I will be back next week with another vlog where we will see where the journey takes me and what I decide to work on next. In the meantime, keep writing everyone, and I'll see you next time.